My name is Lena Calloway, and I'm 28 years old. I own a one-bedroom condo in downtown Seattle, 850 square feet of clean lines, soft light, and breathing room. I bought it 3 years ago when the ink on my software developer contract had barely dried. Everyone called it impulsive. I called it a promise. To myself, to live simply, to live clearly.
Minimalism gets misread like a stranger's handwriting. People squint, guess the vowels, decide what it must say. Mine is straightforward. A couch that doesn't sag, a coffee table with exactly one book on it, the one I'm reading. A desk that knows my wrists and the way my mind hums at 7 a.m. A bed that I make every morning. I own plates I use, not plates to impress. Plants I water, not jungle guilt. Photos and frames that matter, not a gallery of people I'm trying to be. My older sister Brianna is allergic to empty surfaces. Her house is a seasonal avalanche. October leaves in ceramic bowls, November turkeys in felt, December reindeer glowing on timers. She's married to Colin. They have 2 kids, and their living room sparkles with crayons and crumbs and the kind of chaos that can be tender if it's yours. It isn't mine. I never judged. I thought she wouldn't either. 6 months ago, Brianna came to drop off the casserole pan Mom insisted I still had. She paused on my threshold like the air itself was suspicious. "Lena, where's all your stuff?"
This is my stuff.
She toured like an appraiser with a heartbeat. My closet. Color blocked, yes. My kitchen. Dishes stacked like a modest skyline. She opened the bathroom cabinet, frowned at the symmetry. When she reached the hall linen shelf, she asked, "Where's Grandma's quilt?" "Folded, in its cotton bag. I use it when I'm sick. I don't want to wear it out." Brianna's smile tightened. "That's not normal."
What is normal, Brie? 16 throw pillows you have to babysit every night?
"Don't get defensive," she said, adopting a voice I recognize from parenting blogs. "I'm concerned." Concern turned into committee. At family dinners, Mom, Elaine, counted ribs with her eyes. Dad, Thomas, made me order an extra sandwich, watched if I finished it. "Are you seeing anyone?" Mom asked, with the kind of brightness that cracks. "I am. Jacob. Quiet, steady, hands like warm pockets. He sends me sunrise photos from his run and texts that say things like, 'Breathe first, then answer.' We've kept it private because our privacy has weight and warmth, and because once Brianna learns a name, it's public property. On the phone, I told him how they kept checking me for cracks. 'Do you want me there next time?' he asked. "Not yet. It'll only widen the target." A week later, Brianna called. "I'm coming by Saturday morning. Important." "Is Mom okay?" "Just be home at 10. I made coffee." I vacuumed lines into the rug because straight things calm me. At exactly 10, the doorbell rang. When I opened the door, my stomach slipped. Brianna first, jaw set. Behind her, my parents stiff and watery-eyed, and a stranger in a blazer carrying a leather portfolio. "What is this?" I asked, heartbeat in my throat. "Can we come in?" Brianna didn't wait. They filed past me like a verdict. The stranger's eyes scanned the room, not admiring, assessing. The windows, the ceiling height, my view, the corners where dust would show if I ever let it. She perched on the edge of the chair, set the portfolio on her lap with theater. "Lena," Brianna began, hands folded like a prayer she didn't believe in, "we're here because we love you." Mom's knuckles blanched. Dad wouldn't meet my eyes. The stranger crossed her legs, professional smile clicking into place. "I'm Dr. Laurel Benton," she said. "I consult on obsessive-compulsive spectrum behaviors, including compulsive minimalism." I laughed. It startled all of us. Compulsive minimalism? That's not a diagnosis. "It's a presentation," she corrected gently, flipping open a tabbed section. "A maladaptive avoidance pattern where an individual restricts possession so severely it impairs functioning, relationships." Impairment? I looked around my home, my paid bills on their digital autopilots, my promotion email starred in my inbox, my plants thriving in their tidy pots. What exactly is impaired? Dr. Benton tilted her head. "How often do you purchase personal items? Clothing, decor, keepsakes?" "When something wears out," I said. "Or when I want it." Brianna gestured, sweeping the room like a weather woman calling a drought. "Look at this place. It's a hotel lobby. No life in it." She's anxious around things. She hides Grandma's quilt in a bag. It's preserved. That's called care. Mom's voice was thin. We're worried, honey. About what, Mom? I'm healthy. I had my physical. Perfect. Work is stable. Better than stable. Dr. Benton rose with the little sigh and started touring, her eyes catching on the kitchen counter's empty gleam. No junk drawer? I have a drawer with a screwdriver and batteries, if that counts. Ritualized order, she murmured, jotting. How do you feel in cluttered environments? How does anyone feel in a hurricane? Dad finally spoke. You never use the quilt. Your grandmother made it for you. I met his eyes. I use it when I need it. I'm not performing sentiment on command. The interview slid toward interrogation. Every absence was an alarm. Every choice, a symptom. For 2 hours, I defended air. My phone buzzed in silent mode. Jacob, do you need me? Say the word. I pictured him on my couch, ankles crossed, letting silence be a shield until I needed a sword. I typed back, hold for now. Dr. Benton clicked her pen shut like a gavel. Lena, we're recommending support. Structured oversight. You are at risk. At risk of what, dust bunnies? Brianna's expression softened into resolve. We'll help you make decisions. A guardian. I felt the word like a trap closing. A guardian? Absolutely not. Mom flinched. We're trying to help. Help is a question, I said. This is a sentence. Lena, Dr. Benton said, false kind. Resistance is common. I stood. Everyone leaves. Now. Brianna stood too. We're not giving up on you. Even if you won't accept help willingly, we're going to make sure you get what you need. The temperature in the room dropped 3 degrees. She didn't say what you need, she said what she needed. And for one raw second, I heard it clearly. Money sounds like protection when you're drowning. My condo was a lifeboat if you squinted. They filed out. At the door, Mom looked back, eyes drowning. Dad opened his mouth, closed it. Brianna didn't look at me at all. When the latch clicked, the silence was a bell. I stood in the middle of my living room, palm flat on the coffee table, feeling the grain of the wood. My phone buzzed again. Jacob, I'm downstairs. Didn't want to crowd you. Do you want me to come up or take a walk? I exhaled. Come up. When he stepped inside, he didn't comment on the emptiness. He never does. He noticed the shakiness in my hands instead, and he reached, not to fix, but to anchor. You okay? No, but I'm clear. We sat on the couch. I told him everything. Dr. Benton's label, Brianna's new voice, the way Mom's hope had turned to compliance. Jacob listened like listening was his only job on earth. He asked one question. Do you feel safe? Yes, for now. He nodded. Then I'll be the wall behind you while you're the door. It was nearly dark when he left. I stood at the window, watching the city turn itself on, tiny squares of light flicking like neurons. Down on the sidewalk, a woman hurried by, arms full of glossy shopping bags, breath fogging. Another woman carried nothing at all and looked lighter for it. Somewhere in the distance, an ambulance sighed. My phone lit with a final text. Unknown number. We're following up about your space. Saturday at 9. A name signed below I didn't recognize, Paula Hart, and the words professional organizer. I stared at it, and for the first time that day, I smiled. It didn't reach my eyes, but it was sharp. Okay, I told the dim room. Let's see what you measure. The so-called professional organizer, Paula Hart, said she could make my home feel more lived in. That was her phrase, lived in. I told her 9 o'clock was fine and texted Jacob the plan. Want me there? He wrote. No. If they're setting something up, I want to see the shape of it without you as cover, I replied. If anything feels off, I'll text a single letter, X. He sent back a tiny thumbs up and a dot. I'm 2 blocks away anyway. Paula arrived early. At 8:53, my doorbell chirped. I opened to a woman in her late 30s with glossy hair, tasteful blazer, and a tote that looked heavy enough to house an entire hardware aisle. She smiled like she had practiced in her car. Lena, I'm Paula. First things first. May I take photos for my process? Nothing personal, just the bones. She said bones with a little reverence, already angling her phone toward my windows. Your process, I repeated, motioning her in. The tote landed on my floor with a padded thud. She pulled out a laser measure and a binder tabbed to the point of compulsion. She didn't ask where the junk drawer was. She pointed the laser at my longest wall. 22 feet, 5 inches, she murmured. Measure. Click. Photo. Click. Her camera didn't linger on my desk or my bookshelf. It drank in the crown molding, the expanse of the floor, the faucet make, the HVAC label, the serial number on the water heater. Curious metrics for an organizer, I said lightly. Layout informs function, she replied, breezy. What did you pay for the unit? Why would that matter for baskets and labels? She laughed like I'd told a joke and crouched to check under my sink. Any known issues? Leaks? HOA restrictions about structural changes? Are short-term rentals permitted? Why would you need to know that? So I can tailor solutions, she said. But her laser was already back out, dot resting on my window glass, counting distance. She checked a vent. She peered at the dishwasher brand and jotted something down. She texted, noted my southeast exposure, asked, and HOA dues are... I smiled without showing teeth. 1,150. That's high for the square footage, she said, no longer even pretending to care about decluttering tips. Corner unit premium, though. Do you have original 2019 construction?
2018, I said. I bought in 2022. She blinked once. Right, 2022. Her tone made it sound like a closing date, not an anniversary.
The door opened without a knock. Brianna breezed in, like she was early to a party she planned. Morning! She kissed the air near my cheek and aimed her affection at Paula. I brought coffee. Lena loves the maple latte. Make sure she drinks. She forgets. Paula laughed as if they were old friends. We're getting a sense of the space. It's gorgeous. South light all day, Brianna chirped. And that view? Those units go fast. What are you doing? I asked, holding the coffee like evidence. We want what's best for you, Brianna said. If this place is too much, maybe a smaller space would be easier to manage. Paula can map out options. Staging, downsizing, what would net the most, peace of mind. Peace of mind, I repeated. Is that what we're calling liquid cash now? Her smile didn't break, it sharpened. Don't be cruel, you're not well. Paula's laser dot paused on my chest, as if my sternum needed measuring. I took out my phone, typed a single letter to Jacob, X, and set the phone face down. Paula, I said, what agency do you work with? I'm independent, she said smoothly. I do full spectrum organizing. I opened my own laptop, typed Paula Hart. Seattle organizer realtor into the search bar. The first result was not subtle. Paula Hart. Waterfront and downtown specialist. Headshot. Same blazer. Same smile. The second result, her Instagram page. Grid full of kitchens that look like mine, and captions about comps. I turned the screen so both of them could see. You forgot to hide your SEO. Paula's practiced expression glitched. Brianna's didn't. It hardened into frictionless authority. We're evaluating options, she said. If the court appoints a guardian, we'll need to understand the market. This is proactive. The court, I said. So we've skipped helping me hang art and moved straight to selling my home. You don't use the space, Brianna snapped, veneer cracking at last. You live like a guest in your own life. I opened the front door and stood aside. Out. Now. Paula packed fast, gripping her tote like a shield. I'll email. You won't. Brianna stalled, chin lifting, eyes bright with a kind of pity that always smells like power. We're not giving up. This is bigger than your feelings. It's exactly the size of your bills, I said. Her eyes flickered. She left without another word. When the latch clicked, I exhaled so hard I felt my ribs loosen. The hallway was quiet. The building had that morning hush where everyone is making toast. Seconds later, Jacob knocked twice, soft. He stepped in, saw the tilt of the room, the air not yet settled, and scanned my face instead of the space. You saw, I said. From the stairwell, he admitted. Didn't want to crowd. Your move was clean. Not clean enough, I said, showing him the realtor page. They're preparing a sale before they've stolen the right to sign it. He read quickly, jaw tight. We need a lawyer, he said gently, like suggesting tea. Not to escalate, to anchor. I already had one name in a note. After Dr. Benton's performance, I'd asked a colleague on my building's board for a referral. I dialed Evan Duvall, a real estate attorney, who answered on the second ring with a voice like a level. Ms. Calloway, he said after I gave him the thumbnail sketch. Document everything. Names, times, what was said. Change your locks today. Do not let anyone into your unit without your explicit consent. If you receive anything certified, send me a photo immediately. Do you think they'll push for guardianship? I asked. Based on your description, they're building that scaffolding. The realtor in your home under a false pretense is a tell. He paused. I'll send you a template for a contemporaneous log. Record. Don't engage in argument by text. We hung up. I ordered new deadbolts. While I waited, I did what Evan told me and what I do best. I made order. A log in a clean spreadsheet. Columns for date, time, participant, summary, action taken. I wrote down Dr. Benton's sentences word for word, the way she had assessed my air. I pasted Paula's headshot beside her name like a mugshot. I saved Brianna's texts. I documented my morning meals and my calls, and the moment my hands stopped shaking. The locksmith arrived with a tidy toolkit and a soft whistled tune. He swapped the locks in 15 minutes and handed me 2 new keys, matte and heavy in my palm. "Anyone you don't want in," he said. "They're not getting in." Jacob leaned on the counter, pretending not to watch me breathe easier. "I like that sentence," he said. By late afternoon, the certified letter arrived like a movie prop. Thick paper, black ink gravity. The return address was a law firm I didn't know, Rowland and Carr, and the signature at the bottom belonged to Daniel Rowland, who represented my parents. The letter was concerned. It suggested a family meeting to discuss care and support needs and listed consultants who would attend, including Dr. Laurel Benton. It used words like voluntary and cooperative and respectfully, which in legal font can mean the opposite. I photographed every page, sent them to Evan, and called my father. He answered on the second ring with the weary warmth of a man who still wants to be your safe place. "Lena." "Dad, I got a letter from a lawyer. Yours." A pause. "We only want to talk." "With Dr. Benton and your attorney present," I said, "about guardianship." "Brianna says—" "Dad," I said softly, "when did you start trusting Brianna more than your own eyes?" Silence. Then the sound of him covering the phone, muting me from another voice. Mom's, probably. When he came back, he spoke like the floor was fragile. "We're scared. You're alone. You refuse help." "I refuse invasion," I said. "Not help. Ask me for coffee, I'll say yes. Ask to bring a stranger to measure my windows, I'll say no." He began, then stopped, breath hitching. "Your mother can't sleep." "Then she shouldn't hire a realtor," I said, too sharp. I softened. "I love you. I will not sign anything. I will not meet without my attorney. If you want to see me, just you and Mom, I'll meet you in a public place. No surprises." He swallowed. We'll talk." After we hung up, my phone lit with a new message from a number I didn't recognize but could have named by scent. "Sabrina. Heard you had a rough morning. Bree's only trying to help. Everyone is worried. You don't make it easy. A heart emoji. The brittle kind." I didn't give her the satisfaction of a reply. Sabrina is Jacob's ex, and she stayed in the shared friend group like perfume stays in a room after its wearer leaves. Thin, insistent. I could hear how she'd frame me. Controlling, isolating, the kind of woman who prefers clean shelves to real life. The story was already writing itself in places I could not reach. "Tell me if you want me to run interference, Jacob said. "I can be loud or I can be quiet. Your call." "Be quiet," I said. "Loud will feed her." Evening slid in like slate. Evan called back. "We'll attend the family meeting, he said. "We'll keep it to an hour. You will not answer questions framed as diagnoses. If Dr. Benton tries to render an opinion without a formal evaluation, I will object. After the meeting, we'll move to corroborating your capacity. Employment letter, comprehensive psych exam with a forensic psychologist, character references, accounts in order. We'll build the file they're pretending they have." "What do I do tonight?" I asked. "Eat, sleep. Put your keys by the door and your phone on Do Not Disturb," he said. "You are not the one who needs to scramble." After we hung up, I made soup. I watched steam climb like patience. Jacob chopped bread and told me, casually, about his run because he knows sometimes I need a story with no stakes to remember what a normal heart rate feels like. We ate at my little table under the pendant light that makes a perfect circle on wood. For a suspended hour, nothing existed but spoon and bowl and breath. When he left, he knocked the door twice from the hallway, a soft signal. I'm here, but I know where I end. I turned the new deadbolt. It clicked with a sound I could feel in my bones. I wrote one more line in my log. Door secured. Witness, self. Then I laid my phone face down, the way I do when I choose my own silence, and let the room be clean enough to hear my own thoughts. The family meeting took place in a glass-walled conference room downtown, the kind of space designed to look transparent while hiding everything that matters. I sat on one side of the table with Evan, my attorney, his tie loose but his tone sharp,
Across from us sat my parents, looking smaller than I remembered, and Brianna, spine straight, face carved into conviction. Beside her, Dr. Laurel Benton flipped through her notes as if she were reviewing an ancient crime scene.
The moment I entered, Dr. Benton smiled, professional, sympathetic, predatory. "Lena," she said, gesturing toward the seat across from her. "Thank you for coming. This isn't adversarial." "That depends on whether you're here to talk with me or about me," I said, settling in. Her smile didn't falter. "We're here to discuss your well-being. Your family has expressed serious concerns." Evan cleared his throat, voice measured. "Let's be clear at the start. My client is here voluntarily. This meeting does not constitute any admission of incapacity or need for guardianship." Brianna leaned forward, her wedding ring glinting like punctuation. "No one said incapacity, Evan. We're trying to prevent things from getting worse." "Worse than what?" I asked. "Isolation," she said. "You've become withdrawn, avoidant. Your living space is sterile." I almost laughed. "You mean clean?" "Minimal to the point of pathology," Dr. Benton corrected softly. "When individuals structure their environment to eliminate all uncertainty, it may indicate obsessive or avoidant tendencies." Evan's pen clicked once, sharp. "Dr. Benton, have you performed a clinical evaluation of my client?" She hesitated. "I've conducted a preliminary consultation." "In a clinical setting?" "No, in her home." "So," Evan said, his voice like glass, "you spent approximately 2 hours in my client's living space, at her sister's invitation, during which she asked you to leave. You administered no standardized testing, correct?" "That's correct." "And you're basing your professional assessment on that interaction and family accounts?" Dr. Benton's jaw worked. "It's an informed opinion." "Unsubstantiated, untested, and ethically precarious," Evan said. "Noted." Dad shifted uncomfortably. "Please, this isn't about legalities. We just want Lena safe. She's alone too much. She never calls." Mom nodded, tears at the edges of her voice. "We miss you. We just want to be sure you're okay." I looked at them, trying to see the parents who used to stand on the sidelines of my soccer games, bundled in shared blankets. But Brianna had them now, strings around their wrists. "Dad," I said gently, "I'm fine. I'm working. I'm eating. I have friends. I have a life." "Do you have anyone you confide in?" Brianna asked, feigning concern. I caught the trap. "Yes, I have Jacob." She pounced. "Jacob, he's the one isolating you, isn't he? He doesn't like family. He keeps you to himself." My chair scraped against the tile as I leaned forward. "He respects my boundaries, Brianna. Something you could learn from." Her smile was cool. "You barely told us he existed. That's not healthy secrecy. That's control." Evan interjected. "This line of questioning is irrelevant and speculative. Unless your intent is character defamation, we're done here." Roland, my parents' lawyer, held up his hands. "Let's stay civil. The purpose of today's discussion is to determine whether voluntary support measures can be implemented to avoid court involvement." My pulse slowed. Court involvement. There it was, spoken aloud for the first time. Evan glanced at me, then back at them. "There will be no voluntary measures. What you're suggesting is a pretext for guardianship. If you proceed, we'll contest. Vigorously." The air changed. Brianna's face hardened into triumph, as if she'd wanted him to say it. "Then we'll let a judge decide." Mom gasped. "Brianna." But Brianna was already gathering her papers, spine perfectly straight. "If Lena refuses help, we have no choice." I stared at her. "You're talking about stripping me of my rights." "I'm talking about saving you from yourself," she said. "You're too proud to admit you need help." Evan stood. "We're done." He guided me out, his hand a steady gravity between my shoulders. In the hallway, I could see our reflections in the glass, me pale and shaking, Brianna's silhouette framed in self-righteous calm. Once outside, I finally exhaled. "They're really doing it, aren't they?" "They're preparing the paperwork," Evan said, "which means we start building the defense now." The next 2 weeks blurred into logistics and adrenaline. Evan's plan was clinical, methodical, comprehensive psychological evaluation with a certified forensic psychologist, employment verification and performance letter from my supervisor, character references, friends, neighbors, anyone who had seen me live normally, financial documentation proving stability and competence. He said it like steps on a staircase. I climbed them one at a time. The psychologist, Dr. Sarah Levin, met me in her sunlit office filled with plants that weren't overwatered. "You're here voluntarily?" she asked. "Yes," I said, "to prove I'm not crazy." She smiled softly. "That's not a diagnosis either. 4 hours of structured tests, cognitive tasks, personality inventories, interviews. I answered honestly, even when she asked questions that made me feel exposed, like whether I'd ever gone days without speaking to anyone. Yes, I said, because quiet isn't loneliness. At the end, she said, "You're organized, introspective, and very self-contained. That's not pathology, it's temperament." I left her office lighter than when I'd arrived. Evan filed her preliminary findings alongside documents from my employer, Jacob's company, ironically enough. My boss wrote, "Ms. Calloway is a consistently high performer, recently promoted to senior developer. She demonstrates leadership, clear communication, and excellent judgment." I collected letters from friends who had seen me laugh, cry, cook, exist in messy, human ways. Even Margaret, my 70-year-old neighbor, wrote, "She's the best tenant in the building. If she's incompetent, I want to be incompetent too." Meanwhile, Brianna didn't rest. She sent texts that started as guilt and ended as threats. "You're forcing us to do this. You need oversight, Lena. Don't make it harder. Jacob's manipulating you. Everyone sees it but you." I stopped replying, forwarded everything to Evan, and saved the screenshots in my log. Then one night, I got a message from an unknown number. "You think a clean house means a clean mind. It doesn't. Sabrina." I stared at it until Jacob noticed my stillness. He took the phone, read it, and sighed. "She's stirring again." "Why does she even care?" I asked. "She doesn't," he said. "But Bree knows how to use her. Sabrina still wants proximity to me, and Bree feeds that to get leverage on you." "So I'm the rumor now," I murmured. He reached across his couch and took my hand. "Then we control the truth. We don't react." The next day, Evan called. "They filed the guardianship petition," he said. "We've got 4 months until the hearing." 4 months to prove I wasn't broken. 4 months to keep my home, my freedom, my sanity. And I'd barely begun to understand why Brianna was doing this, but I was about to. Because the following week, my father called, voice trembling. "Can we meet, just us?" he said. "No lawyers. No Brianna." I hesitated, but something in his tone, raw, almost pleading, made me say yes. And when we sat in that little diner, sunlight cutting through blinds and dust, he told me something that made everything snap into focus. The diner was nearly empty. Just the sound of coffee dripping and forks on plates. My dad sat across from me in his faded mariner's jacket, the same one he wore when I was little and believed he could fix anything. He looked tired, not just didn't sleep well, tired. Defeated. "Thanks for meeting me, Lena," he said, stirring his coffee for too long. "Your mother, she couldn't come. It's been a lot." "I can imagine," I said carefully, "since your attorney is trying to take away my rights." He winced. "I didn't know about the letter until after it was sent." "That's hard to believe." He sighed, rubbed his temple. "You think I'm part of this scheme, but I'm not. I just don't know how to stop it anymore. Your sister, she's got all these professionals backing her, and your mom's scared. I thought if I saw you face to face, I could see for myself." "See if I'm crazy," I said flatly. He looked pained. "See if I'm missing something." I let him look. I didn't rush to fill the silence. After a minute, he sighed. "You look fine. You sound fine." "I am fine, Dad. The only thing wrong is the fact that my family's trying to declare me incompetent because my apartment doesn't look like a clearance aisle." His jaw clenched. "Brianna says—" I leaned forward. "Stop starting sentences like that." He blinked, then nodded slowly. "Okay, then I'll say what I think. I think your sister's under pressure. She and Colin, they've been struggling." "With what?" He hesitated. "Money. When Colin lost his job last year, they fell behind on their mortgage. Your mom and I helped them with $40,000. My heart stopped for half a beat. $40,000? He nodded. "We thought it'd be temporary. Colin promised to pay it back once he found work. He did, but part-time. They're still behind. We didn't tell you because we didn't want you to feel responsible." I sat back, breath cold. "So you gave them 40 grand, and now they're trying to have me declared legally incompetent so they can access my assets." Dad flinched. "No one said that." "Dad," I said, voice low, "be honest. If a court made you and Mom my guardians, you'd control my condo, my accounts, everything." He looked down at his coffee. "Technically, yes. So, if Brianna's drowning in debt, you'd be able to sell my condo to support my care, right?" He didn't answer. He didn't need to. The truth hung between us, heavy, undeniable, and suddenly obvious. "She's using your fear to fix her finances," I said quietly, "and you're letting her." He looked up at me, eyes wet. "We didn't mean for it to get this far." Your mom thought this was just about making sure you were okay. She doesn't understand the legal part. Then she's being used too. He reached across the table and took my hand, rough and trembling. I'm sorry, sweetheart. I should have stopped it before it reached this point. I didn't pull away. I just said, then stop it now. He shook his head. We can't. The petition's already filed. If we withdraw, Brianna says it'll destroy the family. And your mom's terrified of losing her relationship with her grandkids. Brianna's holding you hostage, I said. He closed his eyes. Maybe. But she's still your sister. Not anymore, I said quietly. Not after this. The guardianship petition moved forward like a machine I couldn't slow down. Court date, 4 months out. But Brianna didn't wait for the system. She tried to crush me emotionally first. A week after the diner, I got a text from her. When Mom and Dad are named guardians, we're selling the condo. You'll be better off in supervised housing. It's not personal. It's for your own good. I stared at the message, screenshot it, and forwarded it to Evan. Evan, perfect evidence of motive. Don't respond. Me, how can she be so cruel? Evan, because she thinks she's winning. Let her think it. Jacob was furious when he found out. She's crossing lines, he said. We can file a restraining order. Not yet, I said. Let her talk. Every word is another nail in her own coffin. But nights were the worst. Even when my condo was quiet, my mind wasn't. Every knock on the door, every phone ring, it felt like another ambush. I started sleeping on the couch because the living room felt easier to defend than the bedroom. Jacob started staying over more often. He'd fall asleep first, steady breathing filling the space. I'd stare at the ceiling and wonder how my own sister could twist love into power. Sometimes I caught myself rehearsing answers to questions no one had asked yet. Yes, I cook. Yes, I have friends. Yes, I leave the house. I was proving my existence like a witness on the stand before the trial had even begun. Then, like sunlight through clouds, help started showing up in unexpected places. My boss, Naomi, called me into a video meeting. I heard through HR you might need a reference for something legal. Want me to write one? I nodded, explaining only what I had to. She looked horrified. Lena, this is insane. You're one of our best developers. Of course I'll vouch for you. So she sent the letter the same day, concise, professional, and devastatingly clear. My neighbor, Margaret, also stepped in. When I explained what was happening, her eyes sharpened behind her glasses. They're trying to take your place? She asked. Over my dead HOA membership. I'll testify you're a model resident. Quiet, courteous, never late with dues. Half the people in this building couldn't manage that. Even Jacob's ex, Sabrina, started to crack under her own gossip. When she hinted at Lena's breakdown during a group hangout, Jacob shut it down. Don't ever talk about her that way again, he said. She's stronger than any of us. After that, Sabrina disappeared from the group chat completely. 2 months crawled by. The court denied Brianna's request for emergency guardianship. Evan argued there was no evidence of immediate danger. Still, the damage was done. My parents stopped answering calls. Extended family started texting, "Are you okay?" in hushed tones, like I'd died but hadn't realized it yet. Then, one evening, I received a message from Mom. We didn't mean for this to go so far. Your sister said it was just to get you evaluated. Maybe after the hearing we can fix this. I typed and deleted responses 3 times before finally writing, "It's not me who needs fixing, Mom." I never got a reply. By the time autumn arrived, my condo felt like a bunker and a sanctuary all at once. Every surface still gleamed, but there was a different kind of order now, a defensive one. Files labeled, timelines printed, statements organized in thick binders. Jacob watched me flipping through evidence one night and said quietly, "You're building your life like a case file." "It is a case file," I said. "They made it one." He nodded, reached out, and smoothed the crease between my eyebrows with his thumb. "You'll win, Lena. People who tell the truth always sound calm. Liars have to rehearse." His words became my mantra. Every time I started doubting myself, I repeated it silently. Tell the truth. Stay calm. And when the trial date letter finally arrived, King County Superior Court, guardianship hearing, October 4th, I pinned it to my refrigerator door, right under a note that read in my handwriting. This ends here, because by then, I wasn't just defending my freedom. I was exposing the motive behind their so-called concern, and I was ready for the world to hear it. The courtroom smelled faintly of paper and anxiety, sharp, sterile, and dry. I sat beside Evan, my attorney, at the respondent's table. Across from us sat my parents, looking smaller in their formal clothes, and Brianna, polished and radiant with false certainty. Her husband, Colin, hovered behind her like a shadow who'd forgotten how to be seen. Judge Margaret Phillips presided. Silver hair pulled into a no-nonsense bun, eyes like steel under half-moon glasses. She read the case file silently for what felt like hours before speaking. "Petition for guardianship of Ms. Lena Calloway," she said. "Let's begin."
Brianna's lawyer, Daniel Rowland, opened the floor with a tone both sorrowful and smug. "Your Honor, this case is not about punishment, it's about protection. Ms. Calloway's lifestyle and behavior demonstrate compulsive minimalism, social withdrawal, and impaired judgment. Her family merely seeks to ensure her welfare."
When he gestured toward me, it was like I was a specimen, not a woman. "Ms. Calloway has become increasingly isolated," he continued. "Her living space shows signs of obsessive control and avoidance of normal human comfort. These behaviors are consistent with psychological dysfunction." Dr. Laurel Benton took the stand next. She smiled tightly as she was sworn in. "Dr. Benton," Rowland began, "please explain your professional findings." She adjusted her glasses and said, "I conducted an assessment of Ms. Calloway after family members raised concerns. Her environment was excessively sparse. She displayed anxiety when confronted with normal household items and resisted interaction. My conclusion was that she exhibits signs of compulsive minimalism, a subset of obsessive-compulsive disorder." Evan stood. Cross-examination. He didn't bother walking to the lectern. "Dr. Benton, you stated you conducted an assessment. Can you specify how long this assessment lasted?" "Approximately 2 hours." "In a clinical setting?"
"No, in her residence."
"Did you administer any standardized psychological tests?" "No."
"Did you review her medical history, employment records, or financial documents?"
"No." "So, your opinion that Ms. Calloway is mentally unfit to manage her affairs is based entirely on a single 2-hour home visit and the accounts of her sister?" She hesitated. "Yes, but in my professional experience—" "Thank you," Evan interrupted. "No further questions." The judge's pen paused mid-note. Next came Brianna. She spoke with trembling conviction, painting me as fragile, obsessive, detached from reality. "She won't even hang family photos," she said tearfully. "She hides Grandma's quilt in a bag like she's afraid of memories. She doesn't celebrate holidays, doesn't visit us. It's not normal." When it was Evan's turn, he didn't even look at his notes. "Ms. Brianna, are you aware that your sister works full-time and was recently promoted?" Brianna blinked. "Yes." "She pays her bills?" "Yes." "Maintains her home?" "She cleans it too much." "That's not what I asked. Does she maintain her home?" "Yes." "Has she ever missed a mortgage payment?" "No." "Ever harmed herself or others?" "Of course not." He leaned forward slightly. "Is it true that you and your husband borrowed $40,000 from your parents last year?" Her eyes widened. "I don't see how that's relevant." "Answer the question, please." "Yes," she said finally. "And is it true that your sister's condominium has appreciated substantially since she bought it?" "I suppose so." "If your parents were appointed guardians, they would have authority over that property, correct?" Brianna's face flushed. "This isn't about money." "Isn't it?" Evan asked quietly. "Because it appears your concern began right after your financial trouble did." "Objection," her lawyer barked. "Overruled," Judge Phillips said, eyes narrowing at Brianna. "Answer the question." Brianna's voice trembled. "I just want what's best for my sister." Evan's tone was calm, cutting. "Then you should have left her alone." When it was my turn to testify, my knees trembled as I stood. Evan whispered, "Steady. Just tell the truth." I faced the judge. "I'm not sick, Your Honor. I'm organized. I'm deliberate. I work as a software developer. I manage my finances, my health, and my home. My apartment is minimalist because that's how I think clearly, not because I'm afraid of things. My family didn't understand that, and instead of asking, they decided I needed saving. They're using words like guardianship to cover what this really is, control." "Why do you think they want control?" the judge asked. "Because my sister is in debt," I said, steady now, "and my condo is worth $500,000. Brianna gasped. "That's not true." I didn't look at her. "They brought a fake organizer to my home, a realtor, to measure my walls and take photos. I have proof." I handed the printed screenshots and emails to the clerk. "They want my property, not my wellness." The judge examined the evidence, face unreadable. Evan called our witnesses next. Dr. Sarah Levin, the forensic psychologist, testified first. "I conducted a full clinical evaluation, including standardized testing, personality inventories, and cognitive assessments. Ms. Calloway demonstrates excellent executive functioning, high emotional intelligence, and no signs of mental illness. Her lifestyle is well within normal variation. The judge nodded slowly. Then came Naomi, my boss. Lena is one of my best employees. Organized, reliable, professional. If this is incompetence, I wish I had 100 more like her. The courtroom chuckled softly. Even the judge's mouth twitched. Then Margaret, my neighbor, testified. I've lived in this building for 40 years. Lena's the only person who keeps her place spotless and says hello in the elevator. If she's unfit, Lord help the rest of us. Laughter rippled through the gallery. Brianna shrank. Finally, Evan gave his closing statement. Your Honor, this case is a textbook example of financial manipulation disguised as familial concern. There is no evidence, none, that Ms. Calloway is incapable of managing her affairs, but there is ample evidence of motive from those seeking guardianship. If this court grants their petition, it sets a dangerous precedent that being tidy and independent is grounds for losing your freedom. The room fell silent. Judge Phillips leaned back, her expression grave. I'll take this under advisement and issue a decision in 48 hours. 2 days later, I stood in the same courtroom, heart pounding so loud I could barely hear the gavel. Judge Phillips spoke clearly. After reviewing the evidence, I find no basis for guardianship. Ms. Calloway is fully competent and capable of managing her affairs. The petitioner's claims are unsupported and appear to be motivated, at least in part, by financial interest. Petition denied. Costs and attorney's fees to be paid by the petitioners. It was over. I didn't cry. Not yet. I just breathed. A deep, grounding inhale that felt like my first in months. My dad looked at me across the room, eyes full of guilt. My mom mouthed, I'm sorry. Brianna didn't move. Her face was pale, stunned, then furious. As we filed out, she hissed under her breath, You'll regret this. When you end up alone, don't come to me. I turned, calm as glass. I already stopped. Evan put a hand on my shoulder. Let's go home, Ms. Calloway. 2 weeks later, my parents came by unannounced. This time I opened the door, but not wide. Dad's eyes were red. We were wrong. We let Brianna control us. I don't expect forgiveness, but I need you to know we're ashamed. Mom was crying. Can we fix this? I hesitated. You can start by stopping her. They nodded. I let them hug me, but it felt like hugging ghosts of people I used to trust. News came a month later. Brianna and Colin filed for bankruptcy. Their mortgage defaulted, their savings gone. When I heard, I didn't feel satisfaction, just exhaustion. She'd gambled with my life and lost both our families in the process. Jacob found me on this balcony that evening, city lights scattered below us. You did it, he said. We did it, I corrected. He smiled faintly. So what now? I looked around my apartment. Still simple, still bright, still mine. Now, I keep it clean, I said, inside and out. He nodded, understanding. Then he kissed me. Quiet, grounded, unhurried. I started therapy soon after. A real therapist. On my terms. She asked me during our second session, What have you learned from all this? I thought about it. That control and care can look the same if you don't look closely, and that sometimes protecting yourself isn't selfish, it's sacred. Outside, rain tapped against the window like a metronome. Inside, I finally felt peace. I still live in my one-bedroom condo. The same couch, the same calm, the same light that follows me from morning to night. Only now it's not just minimalist. It's mine.